Okay, so here we are with another Masters Universe Masterverse unboxing, and this is Teela. There's a Castle Grayskull at the side, and to me that looks an awful lot like the 2000X animated series version of Castle Grayskull. We got Charger down here at the bottom, who is not a unicorn in this image, just a regular horse. Teela herself in kind of a crouching battle position, and this ugly looking monster who almost looks kind of like the creature from the Black Lagoon. Maybe he's based on like an early design of Merman that I've never seen before. I don't know. A little bit of jungle over here, and then a nice portrait of Teela. Doesn't she look lovely there? And there's her. I think that's based on the Errol McCarthy piece from the back of the original He-Man packaging. The picture of Teela standing with He-Man and Man-at-Arms. Rouge Hans is here and says, "What about me? Hello?" Well, hello to you. Good to see you. I know you like to catch the show when it's live. Well, here you are. So that's nice. Anyway, let me go ahead. I'm going to cut the tape while I'm here. And the other picture, the other figures in the cross cell we got is Cobra Khan that I've already opened, Hordak that I don't have yet. And there's Teela herself. And there's the bio, which reads, Teela, heroic warrior goddess. Teela embraces her identity as the avatar of the goddess of New Eternia in her quest to restore the power of Grayskull. And you can see she's got the snake armor and the art on the back, and a shield that looks very much like the shield that the original figure came with, and a snake staff that looks very much like the snake staff the original figure came with, but we'll discuss differences when I open it up. And she also comes with the spear that the goddess was seen having in the mini comic. So let's go ahead and open her up. And it's still taped at the side, isn't it? Yeah, I guess I'm going to do that too. Okay. And this is the last of the Masterverse figures that I have to open up right now. I mean, there's going to be more in the future, obviously. But Rouge Hunt says, yes, I'm here for you. Oh, well, isn't that sweet? Always nice to see you. Okay, so then we got this little section here that says open. And what do we have here? There's our snake staff. This is not the same snake staff that came with Skeletor. The Skeletor throne that's still over at my mother's house, and I need to get that back at some point. And then we have a little envelope. I didn't really mention this before, but remember Robato's envelope that we opened up the other day was red. Usually the bad guys are red and the good guys are blue, but Robato is technically, in that figure, he's supposed to be a bad guy, so that's why he had a red one. And Teela, she's a good guy, so she gets a blue one. So here's the snake armor, and it is molded in like a metallic bronze. It's not quite the color that we're used to it being, where it's that sort of reddish brown, that sort of rusty color. It does seem to be the same color as the snake staff itself, and it looks like it's just going to clip onto her head. So we'll go ahead and set that aside for now. And what else do we have in here is the shield. There's her shield. And again, it's molded in that kind of bronze color that the rest of this seems to be sculpted in. And it looks like there's some extra hands. So let's go ahead and get those out of there. And they are indeed a couple of extra hands. And they're both fist hands, so I'm not really going to have a lot of use for them. I don't really use fist hands that much. And, I want Teela to be able to hold her weapons. So... Now, the original Teela figure did have that one hand that was kind of flat like this, almost like a spell-casting hand. And my cousin, Amy, had figured out that her hand could actually fit into Castle Grayskull, into the lock. And you could open up the castle using her hand as a key to it, which is pretty cool. I don't know if it was designed that way, but it worked out that way. Rougeant says, guess what? I just watched the new Toy Story 5 teaser trailer, and it's coming out June 2026. Yeah, I'd heard they were doing a new Toy Story movie, and I heard the trailer was out. I was watching a video where somebody was talking about it. I forget who it was. It might have been Jester Bell. Because I think I saw a video with her talking about it, and they were saying that it seemed like that this one just completely ignored Toy Story 4, which I never saw Toy Story 4, so I'm kind of like, okay, well, I guess I don't need to see it then if it's just going to completely ignore it. But yeah, I loved the first 3 Toy Story movies, and I wasn't really sure about them doing a 4th one to begin with. And then I heard kind of mixed things about it, so I never got around to watching it. But the first 3 I know are excellent. So if they're going to do a 5th one, hopefully that one lives up to the originals. Now, a lot has been made about this head sculpt, and a lot of people don't seem to like this head sculpt very much. But personally, just on first glance at it, I think the head sculpt is actually pretty good. I think what's throwing it off are the eyeballs, where like her eyes are kind of how do I describe this? Like if you look at my eyes right now, look at my eyes, folks. You can see like you know, the iris is kind of touching the top of my eyelid and the bottom of my eyelid, and hers are kind of touching the top of her eyelid but not the bottom of her eyelid, which gives her a look kind of like this. You know, like think about Boris Karloff in The Mummy, like that kind of thing. So, or like she's rolling her eyes, that sort of thing. And I think it gives her like this kind of aloof quality that's what's turning people off. The head sculpt itself is not bad. The head sculpt itself is fine. I think maybe her hair is pulled just a little more tightly than you're used to seeing Teela's hair pulled. I think they were kind of going for like the original vintage figure. I think they were going for the look of that, and I don't know if they quite caught it, but it's not really a bad head sculpt. I don't think it's a bad head sculpt. It's not the best Teela head sculpt that we've ever seen, but it's certainly not the worst. Now, if you like this figure but don't like the head sculpt, you have some other options, because of course the Revelation Teela figure had some extra heads. The one in the classic version of the Revelation outfit. So you've got some other heads you could try out on there, and we're going to do that in just a minute. I'm going to get caught up with the chat real quick, because I know I got a couple of chats I've missed. Bobby Wald is here, and he says, Netflix Masters of the Universe had something where they combine staffs. I was expecting something awesome like Captain Eternia Planet to pops out. Rouge Hunt says, what's Toy Story 4 just come out? Yeah. And MHD is here and says, hello, how are you doing? And I am doing fantastic, because I'm opening up this Teela figure. How are you? So I'm going to pop the, we'll just see what it looks like. And I think the ball joint might be a little bit bigger on this one than on the Revelation figure. But wow, that looks really good. I really like that look. I might wind up leaving this head on there permanently. But if I do that, I'm not going to be able to try on the snake armor. But yeah, I might wind up putting this head and the snake armor onto one of the Revelations bodies that I have. I might wind up doing that and leaving this head on this body, because, man, I'm really liking the way that comes together with like the fur, the shoulders, and everything. She looks really good with that. Now, I don't know if she's going to be able to turn her head that well. It doesn't like she can turn her head all the way around because that long hair, but man, that's a good look. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap back though to the original head, because we do want to talk about the snake armor and everything. So for now, I'm gonna swap back to that original head. So there's a lot of good detail to this figure. She's got the same type of armor like the MHC says, I'm doing pretty good too. The second head looks really good. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. So there's a lot of good detail to this. You can see she's got the ram horns over the breastplate like the original Teela figure had, and some of this other armor detail hanging it on there with like some teeth and claws and things like that. And on mine, like her skirt's a separate piece. And on mine, I was trying to straighten it out earlier. The skirt seems to be kind of twisted around and it's kind of crooked. So I'm kind of trying to get it straightened back up there. And then the leaves hanging down and the belt with little circular plates. It's all very similar to the original Teela figure. Rouge says, "Is it 2019? Toy Story 4 just released?" Yeah, I think it was 2019 when that came out. That sounds about right. But like I said, I still haven't gotten around to seeing it yet. So maybe one of these days. She's got like a nice sculpt to her thighs. Like they look like they're very well toned and muscular and very thick. Of course, the original Teela figure was very much inspired by Frank Frazetta paintings. So they gave that Teela like these very thick thighs that as a young boy I very much appreciated. I liked the sculpt of Teela, but since we've got some other figures over here, we can compare. So I've got the this version of Teela, the Sorceress version of Teela. So I'm not even sure if these are the same. I think these are new thighs, because you can see if you look at the older Teela's thighs, they don't have quite as much muscular definition to them. But let's see if I can find one where the thighs are a little bit more. I got Catra. That'll work. Yeah, you can see with Catra, they're nicely sculpted. They're you can tell their thighs and everything. They don't look too weird. They're good looking, well sculpted thighs. Oh, and there's the one I was looking for before, because this would be the best one to compare it to, since she's the one that's the most similar, is the actual Revelation Teela. But you can see what I'm talking about, how like they put a little more effort into making the musculature a bit more visible and everything like that. So the arms look pretty much the same as far as the sculpt goes. Like I think the arms actually have like a little bit less definition than the previous arms, but these are entirely new arms. These are entirely new sculpts and entirely new articulation. So we're going to talk about that when we talk about the articulation and what might be what is and isn't different about those. And it does not look like she has the newer type of drop down hips that some of these other figures. Well, she might, maybe. I think she does actually. It's just they don't seem to quite drop down as far as they did on the male figures that I saw that had those. But yeah, the hips can kind of drop down and pop back up a little bit, kind of like what you see on G.I. Joe. But for whatever reason on her, they don't quite seem like they want to drop down as much. But if they do put out a horse for these figures, hopefully that'll help her sit on the horse a little bit better. So, but yeah, you can see there's a lot of surface detail they put into this figure, and I don't know how well it's going to come across on the camera. But man, I should have got Evil Lynn and brought her over here so I could compare and see like what parts are shared between this figure and the Evil Lynn new Eternia figure, because I bet they have some points in some, but I didn't think to do that. Oh well. Anyway, let's talk a little bit more about. She's got like a skirt, which the original Teela did not have a skirt. She just had kind of like a leotard type of thing. But you see that the way they got it sculpted is like it's supposed to kind of bend in, and it fits the curvature of her posterior. And I don't know, like I don't know a delicate way to put that other than that. But you could interpret that as being shorts, but to me it still looks like a skirt, like they usually do Teela figures with nowadays anyway. But it's not like as obviously a skirt as it was on the Revelation figure. So both of these are based off of the original Teela design, but I think on the Revelation show they used a little bit more elements from the Filmation in their version, and also did their own sort of flair to it. Like you can see she's got like a little bit of a thing right there in the middle of her chest. I'll use that finger instead, so I'm not being rude. That kind of is reminiscent of Man-at-Arms' armor. So that's nice. But this one is just purely based on the original toy, and I don't think has any other reference to any of the other movies or TV shows that I'm noticing other than stuff that's on the original toy. Rouge Haunt says, got the new action figures before Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah, I got a feeling we're going to get a lot of action figures before we get Grand Theft Auto 5. Seems like A lot of people are kind of salty about that, I see online. Well, hopefully, whenever you do get it, it'll be worth the wait. Anyway, had to wet my whistle. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these accessories before we do anything else. We'll look at the snake armor first. Now, I noticed the snake armor actually has like this little gold piece right underneath the snake's mouth. You see, like where it points down there, and a little bit at the sides. And the prototype version of Teela and some of the cross-salt art, the early cross-salt art for Teela, had this kind of like, looked like she was wearing like close-fitting gold helmet in between the snake armor and her actual head. And they've actually got that sculpted onto the snake armor so that when she wears the snake armor, it looks like she's wearing this close-fitting gold helmet you see there. And it looks very nice. They did a good job with this. I think it looks good. The unfortunate thing about it is it does seem like it's on there just a little bit loose. You can see it's a little wobbly. And I think if a kid was playing with this, it would probably pop off fairly easily. So it probably would have been better if they'd have given it like some kind of strap or maybe like a clip on the back so that it would help hold that more tightly to her head. It looks good. It's just it doesn't quite fit on there quite as well as I would like. So I'm going to take that off for now. And we'll talk about some of these other accessories. So I'll probably put it back on in a second once I get the snake staff into her hand. But if we get the snake staff into her hand, there we go. And this is also different from the snake staff that came with the Revolution Teela. So I think this is just a brand new sculpted snake staff. And of course, the original Teela came with 3 accessories. She came with that armor, and she came with the snake staff, and she came with the shield. So I'm going to, just to get the shield to stay on a little bit better, I'm going to take her hand off, and I'm going to slide the whole forearm through the shield straps. And then I'm going to pop the hand back on. I think that's going to be the best way for me to do that. Can I get the shield to go on any further? There we go. I figured I'd probably be able to. And then I'll just pop the hand back on there. Come on, you. And you probably could make it so that like her hand is gripping the other strap, but I'm not going to go that far into it. You know what? Maybe I will use the fist hands because I think that'll actually be a little more structurally sound to hold that in there. So maybe I misspoke when I said I wasn't going to use those. Perhaps I judged you too harshly. And even still, it's not quite wanting to go in all the way, is it? Oh well, what? They're just went flying out. You've heard of Flying Fist He-Man, but that was Flying Fist Teela. Oh, GTA 6. That's the one. Yeah. Rouge Haunts meant GTA 6. Okay. There, well, I got the hand in anyway, so ha! In your face, hand. All right, so the original Teela figure, when you would put all of her accessories on here, would have looked somewhat like this. But this is just kind of like the updated, the modern, the hip, the new, the now, the 21st century style of sculpting and painting, and that's what she looks like. And she looks pretty cool, doesn't she? So yeah, I'm probably going to repaint the eyeballs on this one. I'm going to repaint the irises so they're a bit bigger, and I'm going to make them more blue, and she's going to look very pretty when I get done with her. But yeah, I think that's the main problem is she's got this expression on her face, And it's because of the way that the eyes are painted that looks just like she's about to lose her patience with you. Like she's just about had enough of your nonsense. So anyway, so can I get the hand out now that I've struggled to get it in? So I'm going to take the shield off. So we already had a green goddess figure in Masterverse because we had the the Teela from Revolution, and she had the green goddess armor, and she looked sexy. Yeah, like there's the part where she shows up and He-Man's like, Teela, you're green. And she's like, I did it for you. And if it was me, I'd be like, yeah, that does it for me. Green. But this is based off the original figure, so she's not green. But it would be nice. Here's an idea from Mattel, if they haven't already thought of that, is repaint this one in green and give us a green goddess figure that way. I think that would be really cool. And then she comes with the spear, which the goddess had in the mini comics version. And turn her head down a little bit. So personally, I think that usually you see the goddess with the spear and Teela with the snake staff. I think that would work a little bit better the other way around, because the goddess is actually supposed to be obviously the goddess half of that equation, and Teela is supposed to be the warrior goddess of that equation. When she's the warrior goddess, this is the warrior, this is the goddess. So she should probably have the snake staff, the mystical totem, when she's in her snake form, and have the spear when she's in her warrior form. That's what I think anyway. And of course, like I said, the original figure of Teela unfortunately did not come with the spear, but I think the spear is a great addition to this figure, so I'm definitely a fan of that. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the articulation, because this articulation is different from, like I said, the Revelation version of Teela, and we'll get into that. So Teela can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt her head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, and they raise up at the shoulders about that far. So decent range of motion at the shoulders there. She has not got double jointed elbows like the Revelation Teela had. Instead, she's got a single joint of articulation at the elbows that bends almost, but not quite 90 degrees. It's a shame they didn't get it to quite bend 90 degrees, because there doesn't really seem to be an excuse for that. Her arms are not that thick or muscle bound like a lot of these Master Universe figures are. She's in good shape. You can see she's got fairly fit arms, but they're lithe and supple, and they look like girl arms. They're not like big and bulky like man arms. So there's no reason that these shouldn't bend at least 90 degrees. They should probably bend a little bit more than 90 degrees. Like, I'm thinking about some of the other figures lately that I've opened, like the NECA figures, where with Casey Jones, I was able to get more than 90 degrees out of his single joint of articulation at the elbow. And her arms certainly aren't even as big as Casey Jones, and that was based on like a real life guy. So it's not like he was ridiculously muscle bound either. So I think they could have done a better job with that. So I'm going to nitpick. That's where we're at with that. There are of course the hands rotate all of. And I don't think I mentioned that the arms do rotate also. So they rotate all the way around, and that's nice. So, but yeah, I think they could have done a better job with the bend though. So yeah, the wrists rotate all the way around, and they have a horizontal hinge on them, so they can move back and forth like so. Teela does have the cool Masterverse torso articulation, where she can kind of bend from side to side like that, bend back about that far, bend forward about that far, and then she rotates all the way around at the waist. And she also does rotate all the way around where the rib cage meet the abs. So that's good. I mentioned the drop down joint here. She does have a little bit of a drop down joint, but it doesn't seem like it works as well as they would have liked. Teela can kick up about that far, which is a pretty good range of motion for kicking up. Not the best we've seen, but certainly not the worst. Rotates all the way around at the thigh, but that is a very stiff joint there. She got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. And then she's got a boot cut. So the boot rotates all the way around where the boot meets the shin. And then her foot can point down about that far. Her foot can point up about that far. And then that rotates all the way around. So pretty decent articulation on this figure. Not quite as great of articulation as the previous Teela that we had with the Revelation version, but still pretty good. Still pretty good. And I think that I like the sculpt better of this figure. Like I said, this one's more based on the original Teela action figure, and this one obviously is based on her appearance in the Revelation cartoon. And I think they're both good representations of the classic Teela costume, but obviously this one, just by design, is going to be more accurate and closer to the original toy than this one. I mean, that's the intention. This isn't supposed to look like the original toy. It's supposed to look like her appearance on that cartoon, which was an interpretation of that original toy. So I'm going to go ahead and well, I'm not going to do it right now because I still want to take the thumbnail picture with her as it is. But what's going to wind up happening is I'm going to wind up swapping the heads. And like I said, I'm going to leave this head with the goddess armor onto, because I have two of those Revelation figures anyway. So I'm going to put this head, that's going to be my goddess Teela. And then I'm going to put the, like I said, put that longer haired Revolution head on this one, because I think that just looks really freaking cool. I think that turned out really well. But anyway, Teela's a pretty great figure. But do I recommend her? Well, I'm not sure, because they've got another Teela coming out that's the Vintage Collection Teela that also is based on the original toy. And, you know, I didn't know about that one until I had already pre-ordered this one, and it was being shipped to me. So now I'm going to wind up buying them both. But you know I want to have the new Teela figure. So when I get that, we'll compare, and I'll talk about which one is better to have and why. And if maybe even it's worth getting both of them. Who knows? But for me, I'm going to wind up getting both of them. You know I'd wind up getting both of them. So Teela being one of my favorite characters in the Masters of the Universe canon, like, of course, I'm going to buy every Teela that I come across, pretty much. I think the only one I passed on was the outfit that she wore through most of the Revelation cartoon, because I wasn't really a fan of that design. But who knows? I still might pick it up one of these days, because it's not like it's too expensive to pick it up nowadays. So I might pick it up. It might be worth talking about, and why I have a little bit of disdain for that design. And I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure if a lot of you watching, I know a lot of people had problems with that design. And a lot of my problems might line up with the same problems that you have. And a lot of my problems might be just problems that are just unique to me. And a lot of, there might be a lot of things I actually like about that design that a lot of you don't like out there. So that'll be fun to discuss. Now I want to do that just so I can do an episode where I talk about it. And like I said, I'm somebody who was actually a fan of that cartoon. I actually liked it. I did have my issues with it, like I think anybody would of any new adaptation of anything that I love. Everybody's always going to have something to nitpick in there. Like, you know, I love the 1989 Batman movie, but like, you know, it drove me nuts how for years everybody thought like, oh, the Joker killed Batman's parents. Well, no, that was just in the movie. That's really, the movie is the only version that does that. But like to people who just watch the movies, that's like the real version now, you know? And, you know, they'd all forgotten about it by the time that Heath Ledger played the Joker. But I remember for a while, just everybody was like, you know, there's never going to be a better Joker than Jack Nicholson. And then Heath Ledger played the Joker. And now everybody's like, there's never going to be a better Joker than Heath Ledger. And maybe one day we will have somebody who comes along and is a better Joker than either one of them. Who knows? Like, it might have wound up being Joaquin Phoenix, because I thought he was pretty great, but then they wound up doing that sequel, and nobody really seemed to like that sequel. I still haven't seen it, but again, like I heard I heard mixed things about it, and nowadays I kind of don't want to waste my time watching something that I think I'm not going to like. Bobby Wald says, my daughter absolutely loves the original Masters of the Universe, but does not care for She-Ra. Wow, how about that? The original She-Ra? She didn't like the original She-Ra? You know, like or you're talking about the new She-Ra. I still haven't watched the new She-Ra. I saw that and I was just like, okay, I'm not interested in that. Like, I didn't like that She-Ra looked like a 12-year-old boy. And when I said that on Facebook, everybody was like, oh, you're just mad that you can't whack off to her boobs. And I'm just like, what? No, she's supposed to look like a woman because she is a woman. Like, I'm not talking about like doing adult activities there. Like, what are you talking about? That's like not even where I'm coming from on that. So I just didn't even watch the thing. I was kind of at that point just kind of fine, whatever. I'm just gonna ignore it. The original, she didn't like the original She-Ra. How do you mind if I ask how old your daughter is? I'm not trying to pry, but I'm just interested because I'm interested in figuring out where she's coming from. So. Sorry, folks. Went down the wrong pipe. Wow. I'm sure a lot of you are watching being like, oh man, that dude's about to die. But no, I'm fine. It's just, and it was just like a little bit, too. Just like a little, like, droplet went down the wrong pipe. But, you know, sometimes that's just what it takes. But I promise I'm okay now. I still might cough for a little bit. Because, like, my esophagus is trying to get that little droplet out of my trachea or whatever. I don't know. Man, don't you just hate it when that happens? That's just the worst. Please don't die, says MHT. I'm not planning on dying just yet. Although it would be a great series finale, wouldn't it? Like, you won't believe how this guy's action figure review show ends. Just watch every episode till the end. Man, but I'm fine, folks. I promise I'm fine. I still might cough for a little bit, but that's just my reflex action. But I do really like this figure, and hopefully they reuse some of these parts on that newer figure because I think that they work out pretty well. So, but anyway, I think that's about it for this episode. It's getting about time that I got to get ready for work anyway. I figured I had enough time to go ahead and bang out an episode real quick before I went to work. But then I want to take some time to try to get this droplet out of my trachea, wherever it is. Man, I hate that. And MHD says, have a great day, Alan. Thanks. Yeah, hopefully I will. Once I get past this, I think things will be a lot better. But anyway, thanks to everybody who stopped by, and thanks to everybody for their concern. I promise I'm going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I just need to get past this. It happens. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure and Teela in general, and whether or not you're planning on picking this figure up, even though you know that there's that vintage figure that's on the way, which a lot of people feel like is an improvement over this one. And I'm sure we'll have at least some improvements over this one. I would not be surprised if it winds up being a better figure overall. But I guess we'll see. But I'm still glad to have this one, even though like I might have passed on her if I'd have known about the other one coming out. But it's probably a good thing I didn't. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.